Number 9. Love-hate. This is a story about a certain type of love. It is said there is a thin line between love and hate. That saying certainly applies to the love we shared. I loved and despised you all at once. You often said you had a sense of impending doom. Even though you tried to deny it, I know you felt the dissidence. You always told me it was love at first sight, that as soon as you got a glance at me, you were done in. In fact, the first day we met, when you walked me home through the tall trees, you put your arm around me and caressed my chest. Looking back, I think you simply could not resist the impulse to touch me. For me, at first I was smitten by you, but the actual love took time and a great deal of patience on your part. Eventually I got there. You were heartthrob handsome, awfully funny, incredibly wise and easy to talk with. No one older had shown such a genuine interest in me. You really listened to what I had to say. I felt extremely important in your presence, practically idolized. The hard part was that our relationship had to be a secret. My shame always prevailed. Having an affair never sat right with me. I walked by one of the parks where we used to go parking often. Going by there used to evoke so much shame I would want to crawl out of my skin. I was 11 when we met. At the time, I had the body shape of a prepubescent child and weighed about 38 kilograms. You were a 24-year-old engaged bricklayer who lived with your fiancé. Although a part of me knew something was amiss, you meticulously groomed me. My top priority was to protect you by keeping our secret. I knew our love would be misunderstood by most. I was so naive. I kept our secret and was proud to protect you. My love-hate relationship with you was intense, to say the least. Our love manifested survivor's guilt in me like a fast-growing mold. Once I freed myself from you, I felt responsible for all children of the world who were involved with a pedophile. I constantly worried that you were grooming, luring, and seducing other children. Still, I never spoke about the relationship. It remained my filthy secret far too long. My shame triumphed. When I first quit you, I missed you terribly. After all, 6 years is a long time to be together. It made sense I would miss you. I loved you so intensely during our time together. I would have done almost anything for you. You were my confidant and advisor in all things. At the time, I believed you were teaching me the art of being a prepared woman, a woman who would know how to properly please. We sure shared lots of laughter and put many miles on the highway. Damn, I loved you. And there was no doubt in my being as to how much you loved and needed me. Even though we could not display affection in public, we were seen together often. It was common knowledge that you were my mentor. Of course, when I walk by the park, I think of us. How could I not? Thankfully, the shame is no longer like wet gauze clogging my nose and my mouth. Maybe some of my freedom has to do with your death several years back. Now I know for sure you cannot be hurting others. I moved away from the area where you lived for more than a decade. A few months after my return, I ran into you. The first interaction was shocking. I felt as though all your freckles were flying off your body and slapping me everywhere. In that moment, I did not love you, nor did I despise you. By then, I had shared with several people about our relationship. I was the victim no longer. You were not happy to see me. I could tell. My presence had you visibly shaken. I imagine your sense of impending doom was looming heavily the moment you recognized me. I said nothing to you the first several times I ran into you. Instead, I waited for the right moment. My moment arrived a few weeks later. I was in the passenger seat of a friend's truck when I called you over. You approached with a hearty fake smile. As I told you that you owed me your life, the smile on your face turned to a look of exaggerated shock. It felt fabulous to let you know that by keeping our secret from my dad and uncles, I had saved your life. Although you kept eye contact with me, your body was contorting and you were sweating. I relished seeing you squirm because I took it as an admission of guilt. You did know what you did all those years ago was wrong. It was only when I told you to stay away from the places I frequented that you rebelled. I was adamant that I should be allowed to go about without being interfered with by you. You had intruded on me enough. As fate would have it, you died a few weeks later. I was told of your death in a public setting, which forced me to stifle my reaction. Later, in private, a strange type of hysterics overcame me, which eventually turned into hot tears. I cried intermittently for a few days, not really understanding why. I decided to go to our park and take a walk through the tall trees where you first made your move on me. I stood amongst nature and shed my last tear over you. Goodbye, Joey.
Subscribe, like, and share to support this channel.